pamphlet, and she's doing a piece called Grace Victorious. And you may begin.
By any standard, young William Wilberforce had it all. Wealth, prestige, popularity, and power were all his. So what happened to him that he would risk everything for an unpopular and fanatical faith? William discovered an inconvenient grace, a grace that would ask everything of him, his friends, his popularity, even his health, not for his own personal gain, but to free a people from a distant land. How many men would accept that challenge? Marissa Shiplet presenting Grace Victorious by Stephen Knight and Paul McCusker. Brought face to face with his own mortality, William became acquainted with a preacher who confronted him about his beliefs. I beseech you, Wilbur, to look into your own heart and ask these questions. Am I truly religious? Is the love of God the governing principle of my life? Am I, on the whole, making his service my business and my delight? You own there is a God. Well, you should, for you must see the evident proofs of his being. In him you live and breathe and have your being. Do you not believe there is an invisible and eternal world? And believing this, do you not in your own conscience believe there will be a future judgment? You have violated his laws on many aggravated instances. Who art thou, O wretched man, you who have opposed the God of infinite power and might? Thus saith the Lord, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. William, thou hast sinned, therefore thou art under a sentence of death. I am showing you that you have been condemned by God's righteous judgment, having in yourself no hope. But I bring thee good tidings of salvation by the blood and righteousness of the Redeemer. I do testify to you this day that the holy and gracious majesty of heaven himself became a sacrifice for fallen men. Do you believe that Jesus suffered and died thus? William, why did he suffer and die? He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was laid upon him. By his stripes, we were healed. William, it pleased the Lord to bruise him and to put him to grief when he laid upon him the iniquity of us all. He that believeth in the Son shall never come into condemnation, but hath everlasting life. William was then vexed within the deepest parts of his soul, as if he suffered from an unknown sorrow. His life was an ache, a hunger, a yearning that suffered him great moral conflict. All that he held most dear, he now looked upon with a distant affection. He was pursuing the study of the Christian religion. He was moving from an engagement of the mind to one of the heart. I now believe the gospel. I know that if I were to die, I would perish forever. And yet I go on as happily as ever, as if I believed nothing. What madness! I see now that Christ is the only hope to pull me from my place of sin. Therefore, I accept it. I accept him. However, oh dear God, why do I not feel relief but anguish in my soul? Is it, dear God, what you may ask of me? If I were to truly accept you, would I be required to relinquish my friends, my ambitions, my social standing? Yes, they must all be placed on the altar. I must be willing to yield every last particle of my being. But am I willing? Am I? I am. Oh God, I yield it all. Thank you, oh God. I believe. Help me, oh God, in my unbelief. After after his conversion, his heart and mind sought the counsel of his childhood pastor and converted slave trader, John Newton. Hello, sir. Ah, William. You know, when I see your name in the papers doing all these extraordinary things, I still see a young boy. So what do you want with an old preacher? Well, sir, you told me once that you lived in the company of 20,000 ghosts, the ghosts of slaves. Oh, well, I was explaining to a child why a grown man cowers in a dark corner. Sir, I need you to tell me about them. I cannot, William. I am not strong enough to hear my own confessions. I'm sorry, sir. I thought time would have changed you. It has, William. I'm older. But you see, sir, William Pitt, he's showed great interest in me. He is offering me a place in the political world, and he has asked me to take on the slave trade. No, William, no. I'm the last person on earth you should come to for advice. William, I can't even say the names of any of my ships without being back on board them in my mind. Look, I still have blood on my hands from the 20,000 ghosts that live with me in this church. Will you not help me, John? I cannot, William. But do it. Take them on. Roll their dirty, filthy ships out of the water. The planters, the sugar barons, all of their streets running with blood, dysentery and puke. You won't come away from those streets clean, Wilbur. You'll get filthy with it. You'll see it in broad daylight. But do it. Wilbur, for God's sake, please do it. Come. These are my confessions. Although my memory is fading, I remember two things very clearly. I am a great sinner. For Christ is a great Savior.
Amen.
Therefore, you must publish this. Blow a hole in their ships with it. I wish I could remember their names. My 20,000 ghosts, they all had names. Beautiful African names. William, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't weep until I wrote this. For I once was blind. But now I see. Now at last it's true. Now go, Wilbur, go. We've got some work to do. When people speak of great men, they speak of men like Napoleon, men of violence. Rarely do they speak of peaceful men. The contrast of receptions they will receive when returning home from their battles. Napoleon will return home, having achieved the very summit of earthly ambitions. But his dreams will be haunted by the oppressions of war. William Wilberforce, however, will return home to his family, lay his head on his pillow, and remember the slave trade is no more. Amazing grace. Oh, how sweet the sound. Saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas blind, but now I see.